Today on The State of Us, the generational guide to everything that matters. What are we wearing to work? The way we eat now. Physical books versus e-readers. Hand-me-downs. The here and now. The evolution of hearing aids. There's a lot to talk about in the generational guide to everything that matters. Hopefully you can detect the sarcasm there. Welcome to The State of Us. I'm your host, Justin T. Weller, joined today by the one and only, your friendly redneck liberal and the senior, notice that word there, folks, senior resident historian at TrueChat, Mr. Lance Jackson.
Well, today's show is interesting because I think all of us could probably name someone in each of the age groups represented in these topics. So as we're talking, think about the different people you know and whether they're in silent boomer, Gen X, millennial, Gen Z, and what's the new one I saw there? Alpha?
Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha. Well, all right. So as you listen to the show, when we're talking about what the articles say about this, think about the people you know in each of those generations and see how well they fit into these descriptions.
So for some context, right, when we're talking generations, I guess if we're going oldest to youngest here, you've got the silent generation, baby boomers, which would be Lance. Then you've got Gen X, and then you've got millennials, which is my generation. Then you've got Gen Z, and those would be like your early to late teens and early 20s right now. And then you've got behind them, so like your under 13 or up to 13-year-olds, which is your Gen Alpha, I guess, is the working title.
We've talked about this before, but in history, generations used to be basically equivalent to 40 years.
Yeah.
And now we have...
They're more like 20,
yeah,
25.
I mean, you've got...
Depending. I mean, they're not all the same. You know what I mean? So I think part of what... I forget what the people are called that...
We've got 6 in 80 years now or something.
Yeah.
And used to you would have had 2. So we're trying to get much more descriptive about how we're all different.
Which you can tell everybody how friendly that makes the friendly redneck liberal. So let's talk about what you're wearing to work.
Okay.
The Wall Street Journal asked 1,000 Americans what guys can get away with at the office.
I got on gym shorts and a t-shirt.
And the generations were split. Well, nobody can see you.
That said
girl dad
on it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm wearing to work today.
Now, well, let's before we dive into what these Americans said, what did you wear to work for 30 years or so? 90% of the time.
Yeah,
what were
pair
you
of pants.
Okay.
White long sleeve shirt. Sweater vest. Bow tie.
Okay.
And Converse tennis shoes.
Got it. That was the uniform.
That was the uniform for school every day. Yes.
Okay.
Made it simple.
If you want to ignite a new debate at family dinner, lob this to the group. Is it ever okay for men to wear shorts to the office? More kindling. What about sandals? Though office dress...
Don't like sandals.
Well, grumpy old man. Just don't be wearing I don't want to see your feet.
Toes are ugly.
So apparently that's a sticky one for a lot of Americans. To determine which laid back items the public deems acceptable desk side and where each age group stands, the Journal hit up global research company Ipsos. Between June 30th and July 2nd, it surveyed a nationally representative sample of 1,020 adults. The baby boomers considered shorts and sandals verboten for work, but millennials, the most chill generation overall, greenlit. Now, wait a minute. I thought this was is this a reporting section here? We get into opinion. Well, maybe it is reporting, right? It's just a fact. But millennials, the most chill generation overall, greenlit these and other beachy items. And no, it's not always a young versus old face-off. Gen Zers can be stricter and boomers less formal than one might think. Here, the 411 on the most contentious items. Baseball caps, what do you think? Well, how are the generations going to disagree on this one?
I don't know, but I'm just going to, I have the forum, you're not supposed to wear a cap inside if you're a male.
The grouchy old man,
and
here
you
he
do
comes.
not wear your baseball cap backwards. There's not a dumber look than a grown man wearing a baseball cap backwards. It's like just totally verboten. I mean, that's just horrible. But I can't stand that people my age, guys my age, walk into a building, movie theater, a shop with a baseball cap on, or dinner, and sit there with it on throughout the whole process because they're my age. And I was taught when I was a little boy by my grandparents that when you entered a building, you took your hat off. Any kind of hat. Now, back then, they were wearing stylish hats, but you still took your hat off because you were inside. And it was okay for a female to wear a hat because that was part of their outfit and fashion. But church, can't stand to see somebody wearing a ball cap in church or a movie theaters, dinner. Those are my three. And at our house, you have to take your ball cap off or my wife will not let you sit down to dinner. We've had young nephews come in from playing but they know, after the first time they know, and we actually have a place for them to hang their ball caps up. So it's not like we don't provide it. So there you go. So yeah, not, you know how I feel.
The grouchy. So yeah, he's
not
sure
grouchy.
How everybody else feels.
It's just the way it is. You shouldn't do that. It looks wrong. It is a sign of disrespect to be wearing any hat, but much less a ball cap.
It does matter a little bit if your hat is plain or logoed. 55% overall approved of branded caps and 56% of unbranded ones. But young and old disagree. Gen Zers and millennials are clearly pro caps at the desk, while Gen Xers can't make up their minds. 50% said unbranded caps are never okay. Among older folks, 53% of the 59 and up say unbranded caps are never acceptable, and a smidge more vetoed branded ones. What about shorts? Overall, a healthy 58% of respondents think it can be appropriate for guys to flash some leg in the office.
No.
But boomers will have something to say about that. Those aged over 58 were the sole anti-shorts crusaders, with 57% deeming the style unacceptable at all times.
Are you sitting in your easy chair or your lawn at home and, looking at a magazine with a cold drink? You can have shorts on. If you're going to work, put on long pants. All right. Short pants are for boys. If you're going to grow up.
Don't you have shorts on right now?
I'm not working. I'm doing a podcast.
Just for the record, everybody, just for the record, Lance and I are both wearing shorts right now while recording this.
I'm not in the office.
This is an office building that we're in, and it's on a work day.
But I'm not working.
Okay. Well, anyway, they'll have to face off against millennials, though, who were the most enthusiastic knee freers. 75% say shorts can be office worthy. Gen Zers and Gen Xers were also fairly bullish on leg bearing, with 67% and 56% respectively.
So if you walked into your doctor's office and your doctor's wearing shorts, you feel comfortable? You feel like you're going to be taken well care of?
You're not asking the right person.
Oh.
Remember...
Well, you're a millennial. You're always pointing out how I'm a boomer.
Well,
you're a millennial.
Me and my dress code usually don't coincide well with my generation.
Oh, I see. You're sitting down with the banker. You're going to ask for a loan. It's all right if your banker's got on Jesus sandals and shorts.
Well, when I go to the bank,
with a ball cap,
I put on a dress shirt and pants.
No, I'm talking about the banker.
I know.
When you walk to the banker's desk,
but I'm saying that's
they
because
got the ball cap on backwards, got their Jesus sandals on, and a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. Is that somebody you want to do business with?
I would say that my dress code on a day-to-day depends on who I'm interacting with that day more than it depends on what I'm doing.
Oh, so you're trying to fit in. with,
I'm trying
with who you're meeting with.
I am always going
You
to.
don't have your own style?
I am going to stack the cards in my favor to the extent that I can.
How many people you ever met? How many of your teachers wore bow ties? And if they wore bow ties, wore Converse tennis shoes with them?
Well, I can't think of any other teachers that wore bow ties, but I can think of one superintendent that maybe wore a bow tie.
It was only after I did. And he didn't wear Converse tennis shoes.
I had to bring it up, folks.
You got to be your own person. You can't be dressing to meet certain people.
Well, no, I mean,
you got to be you.
I dress in my style for those things, but the style depends on.
And see, now I don't teach in the classroom anymore, so I'm being me.
Oh, so the bow tie wasn't you?
Huh? It was my professional look.
Well, see, there you go. I'm in my whatever today. Jewelry.
Oh, so this is how you dress for me.
That's right.
Now I get it. So when I see
that's how you dress for me.
I don't dress for you. I dress for me. I dress for me at all times, all through my career. That's what I said. You're the one who said you dress for the occasion.
Yes.
So see, when people see me, they get whatever I feel like that day. At this point.
Jewelry. Overall, most of those surveyed consider office bling a go. With 92% approval ratings, rings are the most accepted ornament, but bracelets, 91%, and chain necklaces, 88%, come close. The most controversial, earrings. 23% of respondents say these have no business in an office.
I'm okay with jewelry.
A plot twist. Those aged over 58 are iffiest about earrings. But rather surprisingly, they're more relaxed than youngsters regarding rings. While just 7% of older respondents consider finger furnishings, excluding wedding and signet rings, never okay, 12% of Gen Zers feel that way.
I'm okay with jewelry. I'm laissez-faire.
Whatever. Graphic t-shirts.
Graphic t-shirts.
Overall, with a guitar pick slim majority of 52%, most respondents think men can rock a band tee or other loud design at work. Mick Jagger is 79, but he didn't take our survey. 2/3 of those over 58 who aren't Rolling Stones rejected graphic tees. Other generations were more accepting, with 50% of Gen X and 60% of Gen Z approving. The biggest thumbs up, yet again, that came from millennials. 73% okayed these chilled out tops.
Nope.
Nope.
Quick answer. Nope.
Now we get to the one that everybody's been waiting for: sneakers and sandals. Keep it here on The State of Us. We'll be right back. Proving that sneakers are now a fixture in professional settings, a healthy majority, 73%, give running sneakers a pass. And even more, 87% approve of dressier versions of sneakers. But desk-side sandals triggered fury. They received the harshest response of any item we surveyed and were the only style to be rejected overall, with 54% of total respondents declaring them never okay.
I've already given my answer on this one. We don't need to go over it, but I'll throw one caveat in. What do you think about the old guy who's wearing socks with his sandals? Have you seen that look?
Yes, I've seen that look.
Yeah, there you go. No? Is that
whatever.
Is that a no-go?
I mean, they don't work for me, so.
Well, I mean, I think in the office situation, that would be okay. If you want
sandals with socks?
Yeah. I think that would be a fashion statement that I could maybe rock. But sandals with open toes, seeing people's feet, big faux pas.
Don't like feet, huh?
No.
Not a feet person?
Not a foot person.
So let's talk about the way we eat now.
Okay.
Yay, food.
Food.
A mother and daughter consider the ways that...
But you know what? This is getting hard. Because I know it's not Thanksgiving, but my Thanksgiving meal has gotten a lot harder in the last 3 years. And planning where to go to dinner with multi-generational people? Do they have vegan? Do they have gluten-free?
Do they have vegan? I love it. And the boomer speaks, folks. There it is.
What do you say?
Bradley, pull that out as a permanent sound clip that I can just play. Do we have vegan?
Do they serve vegan?
Yeah, I know.
Is that what you want?
No, it's good. It's good. It's genuine.
It is.
Unfiltered boomer here, folks.
That's right.
It is. I mean, I will say.
No, seriously, that has been in the last 2 or 3 years when we get
Where are we going?
the generation family together, that has to be a focus because people are eating seriously different ways. And to be, again, it's the way I was brought up, to be respectful, that is a sign of respect. You don't just say, well, we're going where I want to go and see if you can find something. That would be disrespectful. So it's come down to, in the decision and in the conversation, looking up the menus and finding to make sure that there would be choices for everybody in the dinner party.
If you and your wife and your daughters and their partners are all getting together, is there a restaurant you can think of that's a safe bet? Like, we could go here. It might not be fancy. It might not be frills, but we know we can go here. And I think everybody can be happy at this place, or at least not sad.
No, I don't know. I have to think. I have to think about it. Look I don't know one that is, but we don't, birthdays, special occasions, but even when we're up there on the weekend with them, we defer to them, typically our safest bet is a Tex-Mex restaurant. That will usually take the vegetarians and the gluten-free and the regular people. They can all find something that they like there.
So everybody can get some. Tex-Mex for the win, folks. There it is.
Otherwise, you need to look.
Cross-generational appeal.
And because now I can't, you dine locally here more than I do.
Yeah.
But in our small town, I don't know how much is actually done for that kind of thing. But I know when we are in the metropolitan area where my daughters live, it's not a big deal. They say, we can go anywhere you want, Dad, because they have those menu items, because there's enough people in a metropolitan area that you better have. If you're doing the right thing as a restaurant,
you better have
offer
options.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think we're seeing that across, the industry of just, even in smaller towns, if they're nicer restaurants, right, they're usually going to have some kind of option. They may not have as many options as others, but usually they're going to have some kind. The other thing is, a lot of restaurants, they probably already have, a dish or dishes that are either really close or are already vegan or gluten-free. They're just not marked that way. So I think part of that is also just restaurants getting up to speed on updating menus and looking at, what's in it and saying, oh, well, we actually have this dish and this is definitely, vegan, or we have this dish and this is actually gluten-free. And, so some of that too, I think, is also the identification component of we're serving these things. But I think it's a real, I am happy to eat many places I like eating. So, I also probably have developed a taste for slightly more expensive upscale stuff, which is what it is. But that also then leads to, when some members of the family are around, that can be difficult because we've not really typically had those options, and that's how they've not eaten that way for most of their life. So they're just not interested. I don't want to spend, $15 on dinner, for one person. While younger generations value paperback physical books as digital detox tools, some baby boomers have quietly become Kindle fanatics. A millennial explores this counterintuitive divide. So there's a lot of different points here. One of the big ones, and I think this will make sense to a lot of people, is that, and I think this can be explained. This isn't just books, right? Take, records, for example, vinyl that's come back. And even now, I've heard about people with cassette tapes, and I'm like, why would you? But it's a similar thing, right? If these were a ubiquitous thing when you were young, or it wasn't unusual, or it wasn't novel, then when the new technology comes along that improves it, it's easier to embrace whatever that new technology is. For example, if you were somebody that had a whole bunch of cassette tapes and then they got to CDs and it was like, man, this is better. And then went from CDs to, MP3 players. And it was like, well, wow, this is even better because I can put all this. I mean, it was an easy evolution because it was a, consistent evolution, and things were getting, it was getting more convenient. And now what I think a lot of people have to realize is the difference here is not a matter of convenience. That's not what, for boomers, it's often listed that way, well, it's more convenient to have it this. The other big thing is size of text and lit. So as boomers have gotten older in age, the notion of being able to read on something that's easier for your eyes, because most of them are e-ink displays, which are not backlit or heavily colored displays. So it's easier on your eyes than like a phone screen or something like that, closer to a piece of paper. But you can get the digital benefits of saying I can make the text bigger. And a lot of e-readers have what's called a front light. So we always talk about backlights, right? Like these screens that we're looking at here in the studio are all backlit screens. There's light coming from behind the screen forward. Some e-readers use front light systems. So there's actually a light in front, around the edge in front of the screen that shines down on it, just like if you had, an overhead light or a light that you clip to your book, except it's built in. Which again is easier on the eyes than backlights are.
I did the typical old man faux pas playing golf a few weeks ago with some friends of family members. And one of the young millennials said, so as an older person, what do you think about ebooks? And I went on a tirade and just mansplained it to death and said how stupid it was and everything. And then when I got done with my 5 minutes,
you're not sticking with your generation on this.
When I got done with my 5-minute explanation, the young man turned to me very nicely and said, "Oh, well, I work for a company that gets ebooks out to people, and they're all very, these are all the reasons why." I said, "I understand that you can, all the reasons why, but it just doesn't work for me." And, he goes, "No, it's good. It's good. It's good." And I asked him to listen to the show and he said, "Well, I will if you buy an ebook from me."
Smart.
And I said, but he meant, he got good points. And your point about the reading and the size but
some of them are practical.
The only thing in the article that made sense to me, because I am obviously very much tactile. I want the reading. I will turn on the extra lights. I will get my reading glasses on. I will even have been known in the last year or two to go to the large printed books in the library, to that section, and get those, because then I don't have to use my glasses to read. But the one lady said her arthritis got so bad that she couldn't physically turn the page.
Yeah, difficult.
That I would like to read enough that I would go to an e-reader if that ever becomes the case.
Right.
Right now, it's not.
Yeah. What I think
and I will say, when I read like my National Geographic magazine, it is very frustrating because I sometimes have to turn the page a certain way because some of the print is so small and it gets very difficult to read. And that's frustrating. And I may transition to that, but I have, and, full, admittance here, I've tried e-readers. I've read with them, and I've read entire books with them. Given a choice,
right,
I'd rather use a book.
Yeah, I do think.
So I guess I'm not down on them. It's just if I have a choice,
right,
I like the real thing.
The good point here, when you think about it, right? Because I actually thought about this when I saw this article. Was, I
think about the library space you would save though. At home.
Oh yeah, I give.
I mean,
books,
with an e-reader, how many you could download on an e-reader?
Yep.
And get rid of all those shelves.
I give books, to people frequently for holidays, birthdays, that kind of stuff. That's a common thing that I give to people. I don't know how much people really like that because there's a couple people that I know, who definitely read a lot. But like my father's a good example of somebody who, nothing against reading, but it's become a real consideration when I'm buying, because I like to give physical books, not ebooks. It becomes a real consideration because a lot of the books, the text is not in such a way where he can't read, more than a few pages at a time before his eyes get tired because of the small print. And then he has to take a break, and it's like, and it makes reading really slow and therefore not very enjoyable. So one of the things when I read this, I thought about, and they were pointing out, practical considerations, like for example, the arthritis. But if it's truly even with glasses, this stuff's going to be, my eyes are going to get too tired because it's still too small, an e-reader is an obvious solution to that, where you can actually pay, in some cases, an equal amount or less than what you would pay for the physical book, and have the flexibility of being able to make it whatever size. And even, a lot of e-readers, right, also will give you different contrast options. So rather than black on paper tone, you can switch it the other way around and make it paper tone on black, a high contrast, which sometimes is easier to read and less strain on the eyes. So I guess the options around it makes sense why you would see boomers starting to embrace this, because if they have a love of reading, but the traditional way of reading is becoming challenging, this is a way for them to be able to keep reading. And I know for some people, e-readers are a good example of, they may primarily read on their e-reader, but one of the reasons they like having ebooks is because of that same feature of, I can have the app on my phone. So I don't want to read on my phone usually, but like, I'm someplace I wasn't counting on having time. I have time. I can still read my book because it's right here. Instead of, I didn't bring a book and now I can't read. It's I can pick up right where I left off, and I'll make whatever progress I make. And then when I go back to my e-reader at home, it'll be right where I left off. So
makes sense.
I mean, there's a lot of good reasons, right? I'm not down on, I know some people that are very avid with e-readers. So, and that's really always the question of, if you like reading, what do you have to do to keep reading? No,
that makes sense.
So yeah, I'd save a ton of space if I didn't have all these physical books. But part of what I like about books is that they take up space. So, and I thought the article made an excellent point about, you're not going to hand down your dusty old ebook, There is that side too, folks, of, if it's a book with some kind of sentimental value to you or of some importance. I actually think it's really funny. An intern for us who has become a substantive reader, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes here, listens to audiobooks, right? But then because he likes to collect things, he buys on discount books the physical version of the book when he's done listening to it, so that it can go.
So he can have it and say, I've read, he can point to it, I've read this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And I just think that's so, but that's a great.
It's that sense of accomplishment.
Exactly.
Too.
That's a great example of, kind of a similar way to look at this. If that component, it depends on why you have books, right? If the main reason you have them is to read them, then maybe having the physical thing's not as important. If part of what you really like about reading is the physical experience, then it's going to be more important to have a physical book. Anyway, we gave that one outsized time, but the next one Lance has some personal experience with. Hand-me-downs. Hand-me-downs. All these retro things are in, right? So now I can push off, if I'm a boomer, I can push off all this old outdated stuff on my children, because surely it's hip again now, right? Keep it here on The State of Us. We'll be right back. No thanks, Mom. The delicate push of fending off my mother's beloved secretary desk.
Well, the tough thing here is, I have 2 grown children, and my wife and I are looking to downsize. One of them is a minimalist and has no interest in anything, not even her older things that my wife has saved for her. She's like, yeah, you can get rid of those. I don't want very much. Then I've got another daughter who saves everything, and she doesn't want us to get rid of anything.
Your children really got the spectrums, didn't they?
We really do. And so it's
where do you fall on said spectrum?
My stuff I don't want to get rid of. Anybody else's stuff I can get rid of. And I'm coming to grips with that, because I really am now reaching that part where most of what I've saved is experiential.
Yeah.
Like, I knew a gentleman who worked at the local newspaper, and he had press passes to college football games. So I saved, all the pictures that I took and every free program that I got for all these years. And now it's sitting up in my stuff. Why? Well, because I went to all these things. And that was because as a kid, I didn't get to go to a lot of things. So as a young adult, it meant a lot to me, right? But now I'm older. It's like, and I've got all these plaques and team pictures from coaching. And that's nice to go up there and reminisce every once in a while. But do I really need to take up space? If I'm looking to downsize to a different house or apartment, do I really need to be thinking about I need to buy a space to put what most people would call junk? And I visit it once a month,
right?
If that. So, is it really necessary to have that? And, I don't want to push anything off on my children, but at the same time, if something means something to them and they want it,
right,
then that's fine. That's different. Because I've got some things from my grandmother's house, right? Who, was born 115 years ago. She died in her 90s. I've got things because they meant something to me.
Right.
But just to keep something old just because, I don't understand that. But at the same time, my wife and I are really struggling this year with trying to downsize and give things away, because what she wants to keep, I'm willing to get rid of. And what I want to keep, she's willing to get rid of, and so
lack of consensus on,
and then the girls, aren't any help at all, because
one of them will take it all and the other one
right,
won't
the
take
one
anything.
who wants it all doesn't have any space for the things she has, much less the big things that we have, So, but I am working on my t-shirt collection because my wife sews, so she made me a t-shirt blanket. So I really downsized the amount of t-shirts I have.
I don't know if that counts as getting rid of them, because
I can't wear them. It's a big blanket that keeps me warm.
That's right. How many blankets are you going to have when this is done?
Well, no, only one. And now I'm looking at some t-shirts like, I can get rid of those, and some of them are becoming yard shirts.
They're graduating. See, I think the goal is to get less things total, not change it into different things that then also still need space.
Well, anybody who needs 20 pair of size 10 high top Converse in different colors? Because I've got them, because I won't get rid of them. But
Why don't you wear them?
Huh? Because there's no cushion there. And as I get older, it really hurts my feet and my legs to walk in shoes.
So then why don't you get rid of them?
With no support? It's a good question, because it was my outfit.
I won't wear them because they hurt.
It was my outfit for, 25 years of teaching. I got a really cool purple pair, dark blue, light blue, traditional white Converse Chucks, black. That was my dress pair.
My dress pair. Get the black Converse.
My black high top. Having gone through it, my wife and I both going through our parents passing away without getting rid of their stuff. The motivation is not to leave it for our children, because we know how hard it is to go through those things and make those decisions, especially at an emotional time. So we're trying to do that now to unburden our children.
Right.
Which seems to be, there's a lot out there to read.
Yes.
On that.
More people are doing that.
With boomers, more boomers.
Which is great. I think boomers went through it, right, with their parents, and are deciding this is something that that a lot of boomers don't want.
And if you want it, take it now.
Right.
Don't wait till I'm dead and then fight over it or whatever. If you want it now, take it, because I don't need it, or, But now it's...
Take it now.
Yeah. My wife's had mom yard sales.
Yeah.
Where she lays everything out on a desk, takes a picture with her phone, sends it to the girls. Do you want anything? They say, yes, I want this, I want this. She puts them in separate piles. Things they don't want, I haul off to, Goodwill, Habitat for Humanity.
Side of the road.
Yeah. No, don't do that. No, it's... Because some of it can still be used. Somebody wants it,
Yep. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take up the session, but it's like, it's a real thing for me. It's something that I'm going through right now. And we're to the point where I have to go through my study, which has all of what I call my valuable stuff, which probably all put together isn't worth a couple $1,000s, but it's like, to me, it's all my personal
Getting into the tough stuff.
mementos. Yeah. Over a lifetime.
I think one of the differences, at least that I've observed with millennials, is there's maybe a little bit more intentionality to what comes in and stays. And part of that may be, we talked about, a lot of millennials obviously came of age during the recession. So one of those differences is going to be they want stuff, but then also what they're getting is, is this something that I want to keep, or is this a disposable thing that I don't care about keeping? There's fewer things that they're going to hang on to, but the things they hang on to are probably going to be the things that are really important to hang on to. You know what I mean? Like my books are going with me wherever I go, which is not convenient because they take up a lot of space. But then there's also, probably the majority of stuff in my house is like, yeah, whatever. Do I like this thing or that thing? Sure. Does it need to go with me? Nah. It's because it's not.
I've got 4 bookshelves of books that I haven't touched in 30 years.
Yeah.
Because I felt the same way you did.
Yep. What do you do with them?
Right. What do I do with
them again?
No. I've read them, and some of them are from college books and reference books and enjoying. Everything's up there, right? I'm not going to read them again. Who wants them?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they taking up space in my house?
Sure. Well, I've really gotten into, I used to never buy used books at all. And that's changed a lot in the past 5 or 6 years. Now I collect, old books. But I almost never buy brand new books anymore because there's a lot of great resale sites that sell, basically like new books that are very much like that. Somebody bought it new, they read it, they liked it or they didn't, or they've had it for 5 years and it's like, well, I'm not going to read it again. Right. So
it's in great shape.
Yeah. So I don't have that. I think is a good thing to do. You know what I mean? If a book mattered to you, but you don't intend to read it again and it being on the shelf doesn't bring you, some kind of satisfaction, then pass it on because somebody else could make use of it, or somebody like the person I was talking about earlier can, listen to the ebook and then buy your old physical book and put it on the shelf, but at least it goes on. Don't throw it away.
Right.
I guess that's the.
Well, I can't do that.
Oh, yeah. So why we have this show today, Lance? What was the point?
Well, because True Chat has a mission, and our mission is to educate people by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations. And we talked today about different generations and how they approach things, and hopefully it brought some things to your attention. And as you listened, you thought about people in your life and could see them in the descriptions and wondered how they would feel about certain things. Share it with family and friends. They say, well, this sounds like something I want to listen to. Tell them as a podcast. They can find The State of Us on Spotify, Overcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and everywhere podcasts are found.
We release new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, first thing in the morning as a podcast. Those same episodes can be heard on the weekends on AM and FM radio stations across the United States and parts of Canada. For The State of Us, I'm Justin T. Weller.
I'm Lance Jackson.
Special thanks to senior producer Bradley Butch, and thank you all, our audience, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Be the change. Be sure to check out our website, thestateofus.org, for books, articles, and all the ways to tune in. thestateofus.org.